Well, my birth mother is kind of a mystery to me. The most I know are from documents that I got from my actual mom's fireproof safe. And what I know is her name, where she lived originally. She came from Texas to Rochester and had me here and then, I don't know, left. I was not with her for any moments in time. It was literally from the delivery room to my current parents. After that, she checked in at some points, but never really wanted to meet me or anything like that. I haven't tried to contact her yet because I'm not sure if she would want that because, she doesn't. I'm kind of thinking that she might be a little worried since she doesn't know who my father is, but that doesn't bother me. It happens, it's life. All I know is that she had ADHD, and I got that. Again, from what I've read from the emails they exchanged, I knew they exchanged lots of emails for a couple months before. I think it started the year before I was born. They started talking and they learned information about like classic how difficult was the pregnancy, stuff like that. There's also like 100 printed out pages of emails that I didn't want to read because I was tired. Judging by the fact of how some of the emails are worded when she talked about my conception was that it wasn't necessarily supposed to happen, it was unexpected. So honestly, not a surprise. Um, she already had, I think, three other children before me. Put one up for adoption, kept the other two. I have two stepbrothers older than me. I mean, she knew that at that point that she needed to get in contact with somebody to take me because she knew that she couldn't take good care of me as a parent. So it wasn't like she wanted to get rid of me in a hope of finding someone that would actually be able to take good care of me. It's just a fact of my life, and I mean, honestly, people say, "Oh, you look like your parents." I'm like, "Huh, that's funny because I'm adopted." Some people get like upset when they hear that they're adopted, and I'm like, I never understood that because when I found out, it wasn't like super upsetting. I was told at a young age. I didn't register it, but um, whenever my mom would get upset, she'd always say the moment when I held you in my arms instead of the moment I gave birth. Right. So there's kind of a hint in terms of wording, but I didn't understand that back then. But when she says it now, it makes sense. But I do remember hearing that at a young age. She actually said I was adopted probably around, I don't know, 8 to 10. It might have been the fact that at that age I still didn't understand it completely, but I knew what it meant. Right. But either way, it doesn't really bother me. It's not like I'm mad. The first occurrence I can ever remember is in Dick's Sporting Goods about around 8 years old. I'm not unlike most trans kids because most trans kids you'll see as they're growing older, they'll be like at a young age they'll be playing with dolls and most occurrences stuff that your typical males don't do. And when I had ADHD and Asperger's, the medication that I was taking not only suppressed my emotions, which later led to depression, but also could have affected that at an early age because I was dealing with that as well as, whatever I was feeling at the time. But I remember going into Dick's Sporting Goods and going, I don't know, just walking around, picking out a girl's bathing suit and saying, I really like this and I want it. And my mom said, no, that's for girls. And I'm like, I don't care, I want it. She wouldn't get it to me and I never understood why. And then after that, it wasn't really anything for a couple of years because, it was for girls, you can't have that. So I just never brought it up again. And then I actually think I actually got to discovering it when I was just, because I used to be home alone a lot. So I'm like, I wonder what it'd be like to dress like a girl. So I, went down to the basement, found clothes from, I think they were my sisters, but I don't think they were because I never saw her wear them. They're just in a box. And down there was where I discovered the first piece of clothing I ever put on was the blue dress. Sure, it was too small for me, but I absolutely loved it, and it was super comfortable, and I wore it like all the time. I eventually turned it into a skirt and wore it for a while until I'm pretty sure my mom took it and tossed it, which I'm still mad at her for because it was my favorite. But at around that point when I started doing stuff like that and trying on clothes, I thought, this is nice. I like how I feel when I'm this way. It was not only that, but being on, like, especially because back then I used to play these online kid games and stuff, and I was always a female character on there because I just thought it fit me better, and I liked being who I was on a video game because I could be whoever I wanted. And I eventually started to pick out different personalities that I preferred to play, stuff like that, make actual backstories. The first name I ever used to go by was probably Athena. And then it went from being Athena to Athena, or you can call me Anna, because I don't know where I came up with the name Anna, but it just sounded nice. Over the span of a couple years, I developed two different personalities, sort of, in a non, going insane way. Just different people who I express in different situations. And I actually use these people in video games to help better express myself. And I came up with the names Anna and Kayla. And that's actually how I picked out my middle name, which is Kaylana. It's a mix of both, because today I am a mix of both those people, as Anna was somebody who was outgoing, whereas Kayla was someone who was very, very quiet and barely talked. And I can be both of those people. And it's good, kind of who I am as a person now, and I like that. And then after that stage, I think I moved into the stage of being Catherine, which I then shortened to Katie. They never found out. I was really good at hiding things. I used to go to McQuaid, and I remember that was a fun experience because I used to wear that skirt underneath my dress clothes. I like the thrill, feel more like myself and feel more comfortable. Coming out to my parents was quite delayed because of an earlier reaction that they had to something else that I told them that was deeply personal to me. They didn't react well to that. But when I told them I was trans, and my mom told me this the other day, she doesn't believe it, and she still doesn't until, recently, when I actually was like, yes, I'm doing this, I'm changing myself, I'm becoming a different person. She was kind of in disbelief. She didn't believe it. I mean, they didn't send me to a gay camp, so I guess that's a plus. I actually separate it into two different parts. So there's Katie, and then there's the original me. And I show them the original me, and the other part of me stays very, very far away. So it's very, very separated on that physical aspect. So when I'm being Katie somewhere else, I do not feel very close to them at all. And when I'm being who they want me to be, I just don't feel like I'm the right person, and it bothers me, but it doesn't kill me, so I can live with it. Oh yeah, like, being trans is not easy, and my mom doesn't seem to realize that I understand that. Gender affirmation surgery, also known as sexual reassignment surgery, is easily over 20 grand. Like, that's not something I just pull out of my pocket and be like, here you go, bud. It's not easy. Like, it's expensive, and I wouldn't be doing it if I just wanted attention or whatever. I want to be who I feel like I want to be. I'm not sure if I was as subtle as it is with my parents, but some parents will, do things to force their kid who's trans to be who they want them to be and not who the kid wants to be. And my parents would do that, in a sort of nonchalant way, calmly. They wouldn't force it on me, but they'd sort of hint here and there, certain wordings and sentences, stuff like that. And whenever I start to get that feeling, I instantly just turn off the part of my brain that actually cares and just listen and just nod my head and agree. I don't want to listen to them try to put stuff in my brain that I don't care about, that doesn't need to be there. I mean, I'm not going to tell them the struggles that, in detail. I'm not going to describe, I'll say, it was hard doing this, but I'm not going to go into detail and tell them exactly what was hard about it, because they're not going to understand. It's not something you can easily just know what it feels like. It takes time to understand, and if you don't want to understand, which in this case my parents really don't, they just don't want it to happen. They don't want to understand, so there's no point in talking to them about it because they don't. And I'm not saying they're not supportive, because I guess they are, because they're not sending me to hell or something like that. They're not like screaming at me or anything. Well, with the support that I've been getting from you and my friends and other places, especially with college being who I want to be there, because high school I couldn't be who I was because I didn't want it to get back to my sister because that would have just gone terribly at home. But being who I am at college and having my friends, family, once I have support, I can be rebellious because I know that somebody's going to be there at the end of whatever is going to happen. And, so if I have a lot of friends and a lot of places that I could go if I needed something, then I know that even if I screw up so bad that I'm not allowed to be home, I'm going to have some place to be safe and I'm not just going to be out in the street wishing it never happened. I'll have somebody there to back me up and say, this is what you want and you don't care what they think. You need to do what makes you happy, not what makes them happy per se. And my friends help me do that.